Hey everybody, my name is Tony Velez. I am the CEO of VERSPRITE. All right, we're back for stage 3 of PASTA. This is application decomposition. This is where we get into some of the fun stuff with data flow diagramming and things like that that most people who are experienced with threat modeling may have already heard about. So in front of me, what I've done is I've added a lot of ingredients, and this is kind of a metaphor for stage 2 and stage 1. We have ingredients of business context. What do we care about? What regulatory environments does our application operate in because of the data that it has, the data model? We also want to look at what are the ingredients of the application itself, right? We want to understand a little bit about the software that is running, the open source software, the commercial grade software. We want to understand a little bit about the use cases in stage 3, and those use case considerations is really what's going to basically make everything come together. Much like, you know, the dough that I'm trying to knead over here and trying to get it ready so that we can start cutting pasta. So there's a lot of things that go into making great pasta for risk-centric threat model approaches. In this stage, you want to really understand, how does the technology stack receive information? What is the access control model or the authorization model of users within your application? So any application has users that run a process or that interface with the application. You have to think about, in this stage, how it all comes together. How is authorization done? How is authentication granted? Are you using OpenID? Are you using Auth2? Are you using OAuth protocols? You know, what types, or frameworks better said, what are the types of things that are going to support all the different use cases? Here's a very specific one: file upload. So you might have a use case within your mobile software. You might have a use case within your web application software that allows users to upload a file. And so you want to be able to understand what happens to that file within the application model. How is it ingested? How is it verified for integrity? How is it passed along the different components of the application environment? This is what application decomposition is about. It's being able to produce data flow diagrams that show calls, application call flow, and then also it also shows a little bit about what are some of the privilege models that goes along with that application call flow. So a lot of the technology that we've enumerated in stage 2, we can actually depict in various types of data flows. We might be in AWS and showing how AWS components, S3 buckets, EC2 instances, Dockerized Dockerized environments, or Kubernetes pods that are running, you know, XYZ service within our application model. What is their overall data that they need? Is there even application configuration data that's remaining statically there that could be a risk to the application model? Is there an authorization model that's outside of the entire cloud environment? This is all going to really come to life once you start to dissect all the ingredients, put it together. And for those that are wondering, well, who gets involved in this stage? Architects. Architects, developers come together. So you have, you know, developers that are working on your UX, your presentation layer, developers that are working on back-end, developers that are working on server-side components, maybe third-party developers. Invite them to the table for threat modeling sessions with the architects, so there's a holistic conversation of understanding function, so that later on in PASTA we can understand dysfunction. Remember that PASTA stands for Process for Attack Simulation and Threat Analysis. So stages 1, 2, 3 are all about function. What do I care about? What am I working with? How does it come together? In stage 4, we're going to look at, now, what could go wrong with my application, right? There's a lot of things that can go wrong if making pasta. You know, you could have a breach where the egg basically goes beyond the borders of the little funnel that you build in the flour. You could be using bad ingredients. You could have, other problems with the equipment that you're using. But we're going to talk a little bit more about that in the next stages. So stay tuned for stage 4 of PASTA, which is going to tackle threat analysis.